a lot of times people will say, well, you want a muscle confusion, right? You want to change up your workouts all the time, right? Because the body's going to adapt and then you're going to stop getting results. Well, your body doesn't adapt that fast, right? You need to pick a workout, stick with it for, a couple months, long enough to allow to see the body to adapt to the stimulus, to start to overcome it, and then you can assess whether or not it's effective for you, and if it's not, make some calculated changes, test those again until you hit upon something that works. When you hit upon something that works, continue doing it until it stops working, right? Hello, Aaron Kubitz, personal trainer, functional aesthetic CC, helping average guys perform better inside and outside the gym. Today's video I'm going to be demonstrating a pyramid sort of workout for both the upper body and the lower body. And the benefit of this type of workout is that it is super efficient, especially if your goal is for just general conditioning, that you want to just get in good shape for summer, just improve your health, or if you have a very short amount of time with which to work out. If your goal is to be a bodybuilder and to build as much muscle as possible, this might not be the workout for you. However, there is some application in this, as you will see later on, even for bodybuilders. So the basic premise of this workout is pyramiding up, right? So you're starting out with a higher repetitions, lower weight, and gradually increasing the weight all the way up for 5, 6 sets or whatever until you hit a peak, and then you're going to go back down in reverse. Now, I first learned this style of working out from my dad, and when I was in high school, I had played a lot of basketball, soccer, done some martial arts, and then I was a long distance runner at the time, and I got a lower back injury that made it so that I couldn't run for a while, so I was looking for ways to stay in shape. It was in the winter in Wisconsin, and this was, and we lived out in the country, and so I was looking for ways, that I could stay in shape that didn't involve running, because I couldn't really do stuff outside on the ice and everything like that. So my dad had been a power lifter back in the Marine Corps, and we had an assortment of random weights in our basement and a rickety kind of cheap weight bench, but he gave me his this basic pyramid style workout for bench press for me to work on. And basically what it was is that you start off with a weight that you can lift about 10 times to the bench press. You add about 10 to 20% of weight on, and then do 7 reps. And then you add some more weight on, do 5 reps, add some more weight on, and you do 3 reps, and then rest a little bit, and then go for a 1 rep max, and then go back down in reverse, okay? And that was actually something that worked pretty well for me. I went from a 145-pound long distance runner, got up to 165 pounds, and was bench pressing over about 225 pounds with this method, okay? So it worked pretty well for me, even though it's super efficient. So recently I decided to kind of try a similar style of training, although using deadlifts and overhead presses instead of a bench press, right? And the reason why you'd want to use this kind of style of workout is because it's going to circulate. You want to do both lower body and the upper body all at once, right? Because it's going to stimulate more anabolic hormones. It also creates a more systemic effect because you're delivering nutrients throughout the entire body rather than in a localized fashion. And the research has shown that this is more beneficial for improvements in overall cardiovascular health, also protein synthesis, and then also just overall athleticism if you are using the entire body at once. And this is actually a reason why, unless you are a competitive bodybuilder, I'm not a huge fan of using machines for your workouts. I think most people, especially athletes, and even like general population people, should be using free weights, and body weight exercises are a lot better than using isolated machine exercises for the most part. The reason being that when you're using a machine exercise, you're primarily just focusing on the muscles that that machine is supposed to be using, right? Whereas when you're using a free weight exercise, you not only have certain muscles and muscle groups that you are primarily focusing on with that activity, but because you have to stand up when you're doing it, or you have to, be holding stabilizing certain parts of your body to do the exercise, you're also working the entire body to one degree or another, which is going to transfer over into real life and athletic endeavors a lot better than doing an isolated type of exercise. That doesn't mean that isolation exercises have no place. They are good if you're rehabbing an injury, or as I said before, if you're a bodybuilder trying to really maximize muscular development across the entire body, then that is a place where that can be more advantageous. Now, this workout, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it through it, and the reason why was because it's a little bit higher volume, right? So you can have the best workout in the world for whether it has to do with, strength training, building bigger muscles, or losing body fat. However, if your diet doesn't match the training that you are doing, you are not going to see as good of results from that workout as you might otherwise see, if any. You might not even see any results, and this is why a lot of times in high school, guys will end up, they'll go to the gym, to try to get bigger and muscular because they want to look like Arnold or something, right? And they will get stronger, right? And maybe they get a little bit bigger, but not much. And the reason for that is because they are not eating enough food, or they're not eating the right kind of food. They're not disciplined with their diet, right? And so they're not eating enough protein, and they're not getting enough total calories for their body to actually get bigger, right? And that's one strategy that I use. I like to be strong, right? And I like to lift the weights and stuff, but I also like to go out there and run and do other activities like that. And so my goal is not to get huge and get as big as possible. So I moderate my diet in a manner such that I maintain the weight that I want to maintain, and while still also increasing strength, right? And being strong, but also having endurance and not having too much weight to carry when I'm doing that kind of stuff. So there is that. Now, when you're going to do a higher volume sort of workout, right? 10, 7, 5, 3, 1, do it all the way back down to reverse, right? Or doing bodybuilding style workouts, because one of the biggest determinants of building bigger muscles is volume. Beyond that, it's time under tension. So the total amount of time the muscle is under is being stressed. That is another big determining factor of how big a muscle is going to grow, right? But total workout volume means how much weight are you lifting, by how many reps are you lifting it, and then how many sets of those reps are you doing, and that, or which ultimately equates into the total amount of weight that you're lifting in that workout, okay? And so that is one of the biggest determinants of building bigger muscles, right? So while building stronger muscles has more to do with, the total amount of load that you're moving, and then also the frequency. So if you bench press more frequently throughout the week, or if you deadlift more times in the week, or if you squat more times in the week, that can translate into getting as stronger in those lifts than if you just do it once a week, right? Within reason. And this is beyond the scope of this video to be talking about the specifics of how you'd want to do that, but suffice it to say that is true for strength training, right? Now that can be also true for building bigger muscles, but it's more so the total volume and the time under tension that's going to help with that building bigger muscles. Now what does that mean? As I talked about in last week's video, the more weight that you're moving means the more calories you're going to be burning, right? That means that if you want to have bigger muscles, you need to be in a calorie surplus so that you are, when you break down that muscle, your body has the energy to, and the substrates to create a bigger muscle, right? And so when you're lifting more weight and burning more calories, that means that you not only need to eat more because you're burning more off in the workout, but you need to eat even more than that to make sure that you're eating slightly more than you are actually burning off in your workout so that you can get bigger, right? So that is one thing there. Now, so that brings me to my next point. So recently, or over the past couple of years, my goal has not been, marathon training, triathlons, or, bodybuilding workouts, building more muscles and stuff like that. More so retaining my current level of health and maybe even slightly improving it over time and stuff, but just trying not to go backwards while I work on improving and building my skills in business, learning, because I spend a lot of time. I'm reading, blogs, I'm reading research papers, I'm reading, studying up on things on how to, create websites, to do stuff on Facebook, all these different things, right? All the different things that are required for running a business, in addition to creating programs for my clients, assessing their results, actually training them, all these different things, right? Things that take away time that would otherwise be used for training, right? And so in the past, I had a diet that would be conducive to doing high volumes of working out, right? More carbohydrates, more calories, all that kind of stuff. Now, I focus primarily on proteins, vegetables, moderate amounts of fats and stuff like that, and have that as the base of my diet. And then when needed, I add in a little bit more carbohydrates and stuff. But because that's the way that I've been training, my workouts have been a little bit more like powerlifting, right? I will have, maybe be doing heavy, like not more than like 5 repetitions usually in most of my lifts. Maybe even doing several heavy singles, which you often see when I'm doing my overhead pressing, right? It's basically keeping the muscle there, keeping everything stimulated, because I'm maintaining what I'm doing by doing those heavy lifts, right? But I'm also not expending a lot of energy. I'm just kind of using whatever energy is left over at the end of the day after I've done all my other things. And then I will do walking and some running and biking and stuff. Walking during the week, and then some running and biking on the weekends to make sure that I'm keeping the cardiovascular system nice and healthy. And the additional benefit of that as well is that, and this is something that often doesn't get addressed, is that above and beyond just the aesthetic benefits of exercise, right? Building more muscles, losing some body fat and stuff like that. When you're eating right and you're also going out there walking, spending time in nature, getting your heart rate up, getting more oxygen to the brain, it improves your mental health as well. And your mental health is important because it's going to dictate the outcomes you get in life, right? Because how you think in your head dictates the actions that you take, and the actions that you take dictate the outcomes that you get. So if you have a depressive attitude, you're going to be treating other people in a more depressive nature. If you're grumpy and stuff like that, if you are, a Debbie Downer and you're treating everybody with a negative attitude, they're going to respond to you in a negative way, and then that's kind of going to get the feedback that you're going to get, and then you're going to feel more negative because people are treating you negative, and you're going to treat other people more negative back, and it just kind of snowballs out of control. The same thing. If you're not going to have as much enthusiasm for doing work, for working on projects, for pursuing different goals that you have, And so one of the ways that you can help with that is to go out there and get some sunshine, go out for a walk, go out for a jog, do some biking and stuff, above and beyond just the benefits that you get from losing body fat or improving your cardiovascular health and not getting a heart attack or things like that. It's just that it's going to boost your mood, it's going to boost your creativity, it's going to make you just a more effective and positive person to be around. So due to the fact that my diet has changed to accommodate that kind of thing, today's workout, I'm wondering a little bit how it's going to go, because I haven't been eating in a manner to facilitate the kind of training that I want to do. And that's why, I often will say that, you want to create synergy between your diet and your exercise program, right? Meaning that if you are planning to do triathlon training, marathon training, or doing CrossFit and stuff, you need to have a diet that's going to have ample amount of proteins and especially carbohydrates and fats to allow you to have the energy that you need to do that high volume and high amount of training, right? Now, if you're mainly doing like walking and yoga and maybe just doing like these a few heavy sets a week and stuff like that, you don't maybe need all that calories, right? You don't need all that energy and stuff coming in, and so you also want to scale your diet back, adjust it to fit the activities that you plan to be doing in your daily life. And since I've had a more low calorie intake, low energy intake, keeping that protein high though and stuff, my body is not necessarily primed for this sort of workout, but I did kind of want to break it up a little bit, because from time to time you don't want to always just be doing the same kind of workouts, right? And one thing I will say though is that a lot of times people will say, well, you want a muscle confusion, right? You want to change up your workouts all the time. right? Because the body's going to adapt and then you're going to stop getting results. Well, your body doesn't adapt that fast, right? You need to pick a workout, stick with it for, a couple months, long enough to allow to see the body to adapt to the stimulus, to start to overcome it, and then you can assess whether or not it's effective for you, and if it's not, make some calculated changes, test those again until you hit upon something that works. When you hit upon something that works, continue doing it until it stops working, right? And then go back to the drawing board, switch it up, and figure out how to change it. But you don't just randomly change up your workouts all the time, because that's not going to lead to you getting stronger, building bigger muscles, or improving your athletic performance. Everything needs to be done in a calculated, well thought out manner. If you're going to change something, have a reason why you're changing it, and then when it works or if it doesn't work, you will know why it worked or why it didn't work, and then you can make future assumptions to further improve your results in the gym. Alright guys, so I've been rambling on long enough here. Hopefully you got the gist of what I'm trying to say. I will let you observe the workout that I'm going to be doing here, and then we will see you on the flip side of the video. Going to be a simplistic 2 exercise video, but I want to keep my shoulders balanced, so I'm going to hit the rear delts and the upper back as well as front delts. Alright guys, there you have it. Conclusion of the video here. So as you see, kind of laddering up, alternating back and forth between lower body, upper body exercise. This is actually a super efficient way to both, not necessarily for building more muscle, but just overall conditioning and to just get you in, keep you in good shape. if you are, short on time, right? So for bodybuilding, you'll notice that typically you'll have your compound lifts, and then it'll be filled around that. You have all your isolation exercises and stuff as well, and more stuff to kind of fill everything out, right? But for just general fitness and strength, you can get away with a bare bones, a lot less exercise you're going to do. However, if you do that, make sure that what you're doing is not, a bunch of curls or something like that, or doing like, crunches or something. That's okay if you have the time to add it on the outside of that. But doing things like your compound lifts and even multi-joint lifts, if you have a little extra time, would be beneficial for that. So in this particular scenario, I want to do something for the lower body, and then I also want to do something for the upper body. That way you're kind of getting the blood flow moving all the way around the body and stuff, distributing the nutrients and the different hormones stimulated by that to all of the different muscles in the body. And I believe Jeff Nippard and stuff a couple years ago was talking about some of the advantages of doing full body workouts like old school bodybuilders and strongmen used to do versus the body part splits that guys tend to do nowadays, and how it's more advantageous for a natural lifter to be doing full body exercises just because of the more anabolic, more systemic effect that you get from training your entire body all at once than splitting it up into different body parts and stuff like that. I don't know if I'm completely convinced that that's the best thing in all scenarios, but I do find that if you are short on time, it is far better to try to do something for the lower body, do something for the upper body, keep it simple. So for example, in this one, I was doing the deadlifts, and then I was doing the overhead press, and then I was kind of doing a balance between higher reps and higher load, getting it all incorporated into one workout, right? And so, there's benefits to doing straight sets where you're just doing the same amount of reps every set, and there's benefits to doing, high reps, low reps, depending on what you're doing. And then there's also a time and a place to combine them all together. And if you have been doing, let's say, for example, a lot of high reps for a while, maybe doing this kind of workout would be a nice segue into doing a little bit of that higher intensity training. So maybe you start off and you do you do traditional bodybuilding training, right? And then like once a month, do this kind of workout where you kind of peak. You go higher reps, moderate reps, and then hit those low reps, high intensity at the top. And then the next week, maybe you go into more of a traditional, power building sort of routine where you're maybe between 6 to 8 reps for, your multi-joint and isolation exercises, so like rowing, curls, things like that. And then for like your compound movements, maybe you're doing 5 repetitions, maybe even 3 repetitions for the sets, and you're just doing a little bit more sets for that, and do that for a month or so, and then start transitioning back into a little bit higher volume training. That is one way to do that. Anyway, guys, hope you liked the video. Hope you found it beneficial. At least gave you some insights on how you might want to structure your training based upon the reasons I stated for doing that training. If you liked the video, hit the like button below. If you'd like to see more content related to workout design, both for building muscles, losing body fat, increasing athletic performance, how to prevent injuries from happening, and if they do happen, how to work around them, mobility routines, and then also nutrition for muscle building, fat loss, etc., consider subscribing to the channel by hitting the button in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, and we'll see you all next time for more health and fitness information.